What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Open Door Creative. Today, we got an email from a viewer that relates a lot to this guy's story right here. So we're gonna take a drive with Carter, and he's gonna kind of ramble on some solutions for this guy's problem. So first, we'll talk about the email. The email reads, Kevin, I am entering my last year of college and have finally decided what I want to do with my life, which is enter into advertising as a copywriter. I am going to graduate with a basic English degree and an extremely average GPA. I attend a small school and there are very limited numbers of majors to choose from, no advertising degree. Thus, I know I need to put together a book that stands out in order to land a job at an agency. The problem is I'm completely lost on where to start. I'm looking for volunteer opportunities, but it seems even those are hard to obtain with no work to show. Should I start out with spec work? Also, I have absolutely no expertise in design. Should I find a designer to work with on spec ads, or is a typed manuscript enough for my portfolio? Again, I have a whole year to gather all of these essentials, but I need advice on a starting point. I have written short stories, so I have writing samples to provide, but I'm worried that those will not be enough to even sniff a job offer. If you can, please get back to me with your advice on a starting point, Maury. So that's the email from our guy Maury, and this guy's gonna help answer it. So let's drive. All right, yeah, so to start off, Carter, tell them a little bit about yourself. Who's answering this question?
Yeah, so I'm Carter, and I'm an associate writer here at Tracy Locke on the T-Mobile account. And I graduated a little over a year ago in May of 18. And how I kind of got my career started was I went to OU, and they have a pretty big ad program.
Not as good as UT's though, right?
No. Easy there, Kevin. Let's not scramble and get into a fist fight in the video. I thought that I wanted to go into account management, and so that was the route I took. And through a job fair there, met a guy named Carter Nance, who was a chief client officer at GSD&M. And he and I got along really well, and he helped me get an account internship at GSD&M between my junior and senior year. But like 2 weeks into my internship at GSD&M, I loved it. It was super great culture. They were doing awesome work. But I very quickly found out that account management was not for me.
Yeah.
I am not super organized. I don't like writing emails, and I don't know how a calendar works. So all of these things led to me just not wanting to do that. I learned very early on that there was a copywriter sitting next to me. And he was an awesome dude named Nick Bynum, who had come from a cool agency up in Portland. And he was kind enough to let me literally just walk up to him and be like, hey, dude, I want to do what you're doing.
Yeah.
Can you help me out? So that is kind of where my process began. And he kind of gave me the guideline that I'm going to try and give here. And led me to a place that I am now, and he helped me with, always talking to me during my senior year, emailing me, looking at my book and different things like that. At the beginning of my senior year, I was trying to figure out how to build a book, how to be a writer, and I did have some contacts, but I mean, that only helped so much. I actually got this job without any of those connections, but those connections just helped me build my book as a whole.
Yeah. All right, so spiel, how do you do it? What's the answer?
There is some magic sauce that you must dip into.
How much is this magic sauce?
It's quite expensive, and you can find it in the notes section of my book. So yeah, the first thing that I was told, and this is the biggest piece of advice that I got, and it was from the GCD at GSD&M. He was another guy that I just walked up to and was like, hey, I want to be a writer. How do I do it?
Yep.
And he told me about a book called Hey Whipple, Squeeze This.
Oh, love that fucking book.
Yeah,
by Luke Sullivan.
Oh my God, yeah. And so one day we were talking, and I said, I want to be a writer, and he goes, okay, well, you need to read Hey Whipple, Squeeze This. Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
And I had no idea what that was, but I didn't want to look like an idiot, so I was like, dude, I'm an ad pro. I obviously heard about that, like, duh. He goes, well, Luke's actually here today, because he was a creative director at GSD&M for like 8 years.
Yep.
So Ryan introduced me, and we talked for like over an hour.
Yep.
And he kind of gave me a mini spiel on what he does as a professor and all these different things, because he's gone from CD to professor now.
Yep.
So then to go to my senior year, I got back from Austin, And I literally spent the first month just using, hey, Whipple, squeeze this. Like literally everything he talks about, I have found today to be super, super relevant.
Yep.
And the reason that it helps so much is because it just teaches you the basics of concepting.
Yep.
And that's something that you'll have to get into while you're building your book, is learning how to create ideas that you can actually execute into good campaigns.
Yep.
And so leading from that is you're gonna have to see what a good portfolio is. And to do that, what I did and what I suggest to do is to go to the portfolio schools' websites and look at all of their current student books, because
that's good.
Yeah, then you'll be able to see like who you're competing against, and kind of what the standard is. And also those guys have had like at least a year of experience in ad school, so you can see what they've learned. And so you can look at VCU Brand Center, that's a good one, and the Creative Circus. Those are the two of the top ad schools. There's also plenty of others, but they have their student books available to the public. So that's what's key. You can literally just go to their website and find those books.
UT has one as well, and then you should obviously check out all the portfolio critiques on this channel.
Obviously.
Because, it's very similar.
Because they don't get any better than that. Yeah, so there's literally a million things you can do to find portfolios. I mean, you can look up an agency, find a creative director there, find a writer there, and look up their books. I mean, there's so many things you can do. But what you'll find is that they're all going to be super different in the layout, the type of work, but the common theme is just going to be how to show an idea, and that's what's going to be the biggest struggle starting off, and that's what took me the longest. But Luke Sullivan's book will have brands that he suggests doing your spec campaigns for,
which are typically not the big flashy brands.
No. So his biggest piece of advice is do great work for boring brands. And that leads to another thing that I found to be helpful is whenever you're doing all of this, don't do spec work that you hate. Even if it's for a boring brand, find a really funny insight and do things that make you laugh and do things that make your friends laugh. Bounce ideas off of anyone, doesn't matter. Because you're gonna struggle with, especially not having an ad program, you're gonna struggle with finding people to concept with. And so that's like a really, really big issue, because you can't just sit in a room and go mad and concept by yourself. And so anyone, your parents, your friends, anyone on Reddit, just throw ideas on Twitter, like anywhere, because ultimately you're gonna wanna see a reaction to an idea. And that's something I figured out, because whenever I was concepting for my first piece of my book, I'd find something and be like, dude, that's awesome. Like I crushed it. Give me the job at Wyden right now. I'm gonna do everything. And I quickly figured out I would just tell it to my friends and then be like, I mean, that's not funny. Like, if I saw that, I'd ignore it like every other ad that I see. And so you've got to find something that will literally just make anyone laugh or anyone think. So things like that really help me.
Feel.
Yeah, exactly. Anyone feel. That's really going to be the emotional thing that you're looking for. So
so you were a copywriter, and even when you came up with the concepts, how did you find that? Did you art direct your stuff, or how did you design the ads for your book?
Yeah, so I started out by, and you and all other art directors in the world are going to hate this, but I started using Canva. And do you know what that is?
No.
So it's essentially just a templatized design program.
Okay.
And so it's super, super easy to use. If you just go to canva.com, you can find it.
Spell that for them?
Canva, Canva.
Okay.
I can spell. And so that's a really good resource for doing your print ads, which is another big point, is kick your campaigns off with print, because what that'll allow you to do is take a simple media but execute a big idea into literally one headline. And so that's going to be your biggest struggle. And so starting off with that will teach you a lot. And so trial and error is all it is. And so one of the guys who had gone to Creative Circus at GSD&M had told me that, in the first couple months there at Creative Circus, they would only do print ads, and they would only be allowed like one image, or they could draw a sketch or something, like very simple design, but the copy has to come across and execute the idea. So start off with that with Canva. There's also Fiverr. I think you know what Fiverr is?
No.
So
You're
Fiverr,
teaching me all new things.
I'm teaching you everything, Cav. This should be my YouTube channel.
It is yours today.
Yeah. So Fiverr, I'm pretty sure that's what it's called, is a resource where you can find people who will design your campaign for you, art direct your campaign for you, for like $5. and,
wow.
and things like that, $5-10, you know, or whatever it may be, depending on how big the ask is. And so, you know, that's going to be a really, really helpful thing.
And then another resource I want everyone to kind of know about too, it's called makeadswithme.com. If you haven't seen that video, I'll link it up above, but basically you go there, you say, I'm a copywriter looking for an art director, and it's just a lot of other students in the same boat so that you guys can all kind of find partners and work together. So I definitely recommend that. They also have a Facebook page that has even more people on it. So if you hit those two places, you're sure to find a partner as well. So
yeah, having a partner is huge for sure. And talking about Facebook, other than what my mom posts, is that social media campaigns are an example of something you can do that are like really easy. So you can literally make a fake Facebook, or you can go to different social media template websites. There are, if you just Google like social media campaign template, there are websites that will totally churn them out for you, and all you have to do is enter the copy. So think about really simple things to do. And then also, if you look up Photoshop mock-up templates, you can find easy ways to make your banner ads and make your out of home, anything like that, look really professional.
Yep.
So that's super easy. That's probably the biggest points for like the actual execution.
yeah,
But
no, that's great.
Yeah, read Hey Whipple 7 times and highlight everything that you find interesting, because it'll help you so much.
Yeah.
And also realize that a year seems like a long time, but it's really not.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to work super hard.
Yeah.
But what that allowed me to do, and what it'll allow you to do, is figure out if this is really what you want to do, because you're having to do this on top of your classes. Because I was in the same boat. Like, I didn't have any creative classes. I didn't have any writing classes at the time. And so I was doing this on top of my schoolwork and whatnot. So it led me to find out, okay, I'm going to stay up late and not hang out with my friends and just do this.
Yep.
And it led me to figure out, okay, yeah, I actually do want to do this, because I made myself laugh, and then I could make my friends laugh, and I was like, oh yeah, I can do this for a living. So you're gonna figure that out, and that's why it's huge. But don't waste any time. You know, work really hard, work a lot, work early. Don't wait, because it's easy to procrastinate trying to come up with these ideas, because it's scary.
Yep.
Because you sit down for an hour and you don't come up with any ideas, and you're just like, wow, I suck at this.
Yep.
And another thing is, you'll hit your biggest ideas out of nowhere.
Yep.
And they'll
At random times.
At just the most random times.
Yep.
And it'll be like, wow, this is so easy. Why have I not been able to find this nugget for 2 months?
Yeah.
And so don't let yourself get discouraged when you're like 2 weeks in to concepting a brand, or you're doing certain executions and you can't quite make it right.
Yep.
Just believe in yourself, and it'll hit you out of nowhere. And once you get that first hit, you'll realize that you can do it. And so then they kind of just start coming out. The first one's going to be the hardest.
Yep.
So just get through it and realize that it'll be worth it, and it'll all pay off for sure.
And that's the big thing for me, is to not get romantic about the campaign. Like, if you tried one, say you tried a brand. I think I tried Einstein Bagels once. And like, I just could not, like, I just couldn't crack it. And then I started to brainstorm this other brand, like Cliff Bars for Kids or something like that, and I crushed it. And then I was like, so I think it's important, like, if one thing's not working, juggle a couple different brands at a time, so that like, it might be that one of the three you're kind of concepting around ends up sparking an idea for the other brand. Like, I think one of the things I was thinking about for Einstein's actually ended up being part of my idea for the Cliff Bar. And so like, random stuff like that'll happen too, if you're just giving your mind the opportunity to kind of explore different avenues.
Yeah, that literally the exact same thing happened to me. I was doing a spec campaign for Spirit Airlines, and I was also working on North Dakota Tourism. And those two brands came from take boring brands and make awesome ads for them. So I was thinking about Spirit and came across an idea of sometimes nothing is exactly what you need, especially whenever you're flying. I was like, this doesn't really make sense for airlines, but it makes sense for traveling to North Dakota, getting away from your everyday life. Sometimes you should a simple vacation. So you're exactly right. And actually, Luke Sullivan talks about that in Hey Whipple, Squeeze This. And so, yeah, that's an absolutely fantastic point.
Awesome.
Yeah, don't get caught up on one thing.
Cool. Any more advice you have for, what's his name?
Maury.
Any more Maury advice?
I forgot the name.
I mean, I mean,
I'm taking over this channel. It's now Open Door Carter. So, and then when it comes to, you know, the end of this journey, the end of your year, and you're trying to actually land that job, first things first, you've got to realize you're going to have to do an internship post-grad. That is just no questions asked how you're going to get into the creative field. Even people who go to portfolio school for 2 years and have kick-ass books have to do an internship post-grad. So, and then look at smaller agencies. Because that's going to be somewhere, A, where you will have a better chance to get your foot in the door, and B, you're going to be able to learn, because at a smaller shop, you'll work on more stuff. You'll work on more brands.
Look at you.
So,
this is my whole story. This is
exactly.
my spiel.
Because I did the exact same thing. I started off at Slingshot in Dallas, and I was writing for 5 different brands. In one day, and going from Port Aransas tourism to Enro men's shirts, and so that'll teach you a lot about different voices and how to write in those voices. And so that's
great advice.
That's a really don't get caught up in wanting to go to a super fancy shop right off the bat, like me and Kevin, because we're famous and but no, you'll realize soon that those are the best places to really learn and start off at.
And you just get thrown in the fire, and you have to juggle a lot more and wear a lot more hats. Like, even as an art director, so I started a small shop too, and I had to dabble even in copywriting and stuff. Like, it was kind of a all hands on deck. I was in strategy, I was in client presentations. Like, you just get thrown everything. So you have to like kind of learn.
You realize you can't just be a one-trick pony, and that's a huge part about the ad industry as a whole. And so a small shop is a great place to learn that, and, you know, gathering other skills. And then the last point is just make connections literally anywhere you possibly can. Be annoying, you know. Anything you find on LinkedIn, anyone you find on LinkedIn, hit them up and just kind of give them a little spiel of your story. And if you're at a point where you've got your book in a decent place, you've got at least a few pieces, I mean, I would send like PDFs of one campaign to someone and just be like, I'm working on my book. This is a piece that I'm on right now. Can you give me any advice? And you'll find that like a lot of people are willing to help because they'll have a similar story to what you have.
Well, that's weird. That's how this whole thing, you know, came into fruition right here.
Exactly. So, you know, that's what it is. Don't be scared and just throw it all out there.
Cool. Well, thank you for helping our boy Maury out. Hopefully that helped other people as well. And thanks for coming on the show, Carter. So that's the spiel, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.
What do you want to eat?
Well, there is a Jersey Mike's behind us.
Let's do that.
Which I don't think I could look at a Jersey Mike's and be like, I don't want Jersey Mike's.